Now let's talk about generalization.
In part 1, we discussed specialization, and now we're going to cover generalization. We are trying to discover the best path to creating a little champion, a child prodigy.
On the flip side to early specialization, many parents feel a lot of pressure today to expose their young child to a wide variety of activities. The fear is real. What if we're focusing too narrowly and we miss discovering our child's true passions? What if we're closing doors before our child even has the opportunity to take a peek inside? There's that nagging worry that specializing too early, we might be robbing our children of valuable life experiences and skills they could gain through trying different activities. We see successful adults who found their calling later in life and wonder, what if our child needs the same journey of exploration? Parents who choose the generalization route often grapple with concerns like this. What if my child misses out on developing important social skills by not experiencing different team dynamics? Am I preventing them from discovering hidden talents in other areas? Will they resent us later for pushing them into one thing too early? How can we know what we truly love if we haven't tried everything? The pressure to do it all can feel really overwhelming. We see families of other children who are involved in a lot of different things. On Monday, they have soccer, piano on Tuesday, art on Wednesday, swimming on Thursday. Oh my God, this sounds like my kid's schedule. And we wonder if our children need that broad variety of exposure in order to be a well-rounded individual. But here's where hope comes in. Research increasingly shows that generalists outperform early specialists in the long run. They develop adaptability, problem-solving skills, and the unique ability to make different connections across many domains. These late bloomers often offer a fresh perspective and innovative approaches to their eventually chosen field. The modern world increasingly values versatility and adaptability over narrow specialization. In fact, many employers and educators now specifically seek out individuals with a diverse skill set and varied experiences. This suggests that allowing your child to explore multiple activities and interests might actually be better for them in the future and for their overall success. Let's talk about some examples. Let's look at Maurice Ashley in chess. Maurice Ashley. Let me share an inspiring story that challenges the notion that early specialization is the only path to excellence. Maurice Ashley, who later became the first Black chess grandmaster in history, didn't even start playing chess seriously until he was a teenager, attending Brooklyn Technical High School. This was dramatically different from his future competitors, many of whom had been immersed in chess since early childhood. Maurice Ashley became the coach of the Raging Rooks, a chess team from a public school in Harlem. His students were set up against players from prestigious private schools, where children had access to private chess tutors and early specialized training from a very young age. The Raging Rooks started as complete novices, many learning the basic moves of chess for the first time. What happened next was remarkable. Through intensive practice, creative teaching methods, and a focus on strategic thinking rather than just memorizing opening moves, Ashley's team progressed from beginners to national champions. They defeated teams from elite private schools whose students have been playing chess since kindergarten. This story powerfully demonstrates that starting later doesn't mean missing out on achieving excellence. Ashley and his students proved that passion, dedication, and quality instruction could overcome the apparent advantages of early specialization. For parents worried about their child missing the critical window of opportunity, the Raging Rook story offers hope and another perspective. It shows that allowing children to explore a variety of activities before finding their true passion can still lead to exceptional exceptional achievements. When children discover what they genuinely love, whether that's 6 or 16, their motivation and dedication can help them rapidly close the gap on those early specialists. Tim Duncan. Let me share the remarkable story of Tim Duncan, a testament to late specialization in a sport. Unlike most NBA basketball players who focused on basketball solely from a very early age, Tim Duncan was actually a swimmer when he was young. That was his first love. He dreamed of going to the Olympics in swimming. He trained extensively in the pool until he was 14 years old. What stopped him? It was a hurricane. It changed everything. It actually destroyed the only Olympic-sized pool in his area in St. Croix. Actually, fun fact, my paternal grandmother is from St. Croix. So since he was unable to train, Duncan took his ambitions elsewhere. He reluctantly turned to basketball, a sport that he had barely ever played before. And despite this late start, which many would consider a severe disadvantage in today's early specialization culture, Duncan's natural athleticism and work ethic helped him to reach great heights in basketball. He excelled very quickly. The results were extraordinary. Duncan went on to become one of the greatest basketball players of all time, winning 5 NBA championships with the San Antonio Spurs. His fundamental skills were so polished that he earned the nickname the Big Fundamental. His swimming background had given him exceptional body control and coordination that translated beautifully to basketball. What makes Duncan's story particularly relevant for parents is how his diverse athletic background actually contributed to his success. The endurance, discipline, and body awareness he developed as a swimmer became invaluable assets in his basketball career. His story powerfully demonstrates that early specialization isn't the only path to elite achievement. Sometimes, a broader athletic foundation can lead to even greater success. Duncan's journey offers hope to parents worried about their child or children starting too late in the sport. This is currently my problem. I have a big concern about that, as my children are still trying to figure out their footing, and they've been doing all of these broad different sports, but I think in the long run I made the best decision. The key isn't necessarily starting early. It's about passion, dedication, and the right coaching, the right team, the right support. You can gain transferable athletic skills. I've seen people speak about gymnastics being a great foundational sport that gives you a lot of transferable athletic skills. I have my kids in jiu-jitsu, and now my son is also wrestling, and I can see how the gi in jiu-jitsu and no-gi and wrestling is a great way to improve them athletically overall so that they can do a variety of sports. And we also saw this to be true with arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. He had a variety of sports that he started with before he became really passionate about basketball. Roy Fukui. Now let's talk about the arts. Roy Fukui has an amazing story of starting late. Really late. He's a Japanese pianist who defied conventional wisdom when it comes to early specialization, specifically in music. Unlike Mozart and many other celebrated musicians who began their musical journey extremely early, even toddler age, Fukui didn't touch a piano until he was 22 years old. Working as a clerk in a music shop in Japan, Fukui discovered his passion for jazz piano relatively late in life. Instead of being discouraged by his late start, he devoted himself to intense practice and study. His dedication was remarkable. He would practice for hours after work, developing his technique and understanding of jazz theory. Just 6 years after first starting at a piano, Fukui released his debut album, Scenery, in 1976. The album, which he recorded at age 28, is now considered a jazz classic, celebrated for its sophisticated harmonies and masterful improvisations. Fukui's story powerfully demonstrates that it's never too late to pursue mastery in an art form. His journey, again, offers support and hope to parents who wonder, am I starting too late? Is generalizing early going to stop them from becoming great at something later on? Or are they going to be consistently outperformed by people who started a lot earlier and were able to put in many more hours to getting to mastery than my child? So the major key isn't necessarily when you start, it's the intensity and focus, dedication, and love of the craft, honestly. These late bloomer stories are very inspiring to me because I'm a late bloomer when it comes to sports. So I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I found it at age 35. I wanted to train and improve and compete, but I was afraid I just was too old. Despite that fear, I did it anyway. I was nervous, but I did it nervous. And I still love it, and I'm still continuing that journey, and I'm going to be continuing to share that journey on this YouTube channel. However, when it came to my children, I actually thought that I wanted them to specialize first instead of being a generalist, and I was really inspired by Judith Pogart's story. So once I began the process of figuring out what that will look like for my family, I learned so much about what you really need to do that, the level of support and the resources and the time, and maybe how many kids you have makes a difference. I have 4. Maybe it's easier to implement something like that if you have 1 or 2, or a big support system to take one person over here because they're specializing in this sport and another person over here because they're specializing in a different one, and the classes and the training are all at the same time. I learned a lot. Outside of just the personal experience, I also did a lot of reading, and I learned about generalist, outperforming specialist, and how there are a lot of different pathways to excellence. When considering generalization versus specialization, family dynamics and individual personalities play a critical role. When you have a child who is intensely passionate and focused on one activity from a very early age, you have a unique situation. If a child actually gravitates towards one activity, whether that's chess or gymnastics or the violin, and demonstrates both natural aptitude and passion, true enthusiasm for doing that thing, supporting this actually could be more beneficial to the child than trying to force them into trying a variety of things instead of the one thing that they truly want to do. But I think parents need to consider a couple of things when thinking about generalization. There can be some drawbacks, so definitely consider the following. Time management challenges. So managing multiple activities can present a lot of scheduling challenges. You're gonna be juggling a variety of practices and lessons, competitions, meets, tournaments, and they may conflict. This can increase family stress because you're running from one activity to another. Then there's definitely less time for unstructured play or family bonding. I just wanna sit and play and put together a puzzle with my kids, but we have to go to this sport and that sport and travel here, especially if you have to travel out of state. And sometimes it does present an issue of maintaining a routine around homework and rest and just, I don't know, getting to the family table for dinner because there's so many things packing the evening. So there is a quality versus quantity trade-off. While exploring multiple activities, there may not be enough time to develop advanced skills in one particular area. So this could lead to the child possibly having some frustration when it comes to watching their teammates or friends who are specializing in that sport or activity gain these more advanced skills while they aren't progressing at the same rate because they are generalizing and doing other things and just focusing on one thing. This could also lead to less opportunities to feel satisfied in mastering something. There's something that comes with that feeling that you've mastered something or you've accomplished something, and it could move the needle a little slower if you are are generalizing versus specializing. And unfortunately, this could also reduce your chances of getting into elite programs or competitive teams that require more advanced or higher skill levels. But the key is to remain flexible to your child's responses to these different scenarios and approaches to make any adjustments that might be necessary. Because honestly, some children thrive on variety and can become really frustrated or overwhelmed if you try to just make them focus on just one thing, while others find their flow state in just engaging in one activity. Usually the best choice will emerge from the careful observation of your child's natural inclination and an honest assessment of your family's capacity to support either path. Big emphasis on honest assessment. So now that we've spoken about the different pathways, I want to take a second for us to look at the DNA of talent. Regardless of which path you choose, how can you help cultivate talent? What really is at the foundation?